What's good, YouTube? Coming at you with another video regarding, as you can see in the title, the real differences between the Sea-Doo Spark ACE 60 horsepower and the Sea-Doo Spark ACE HO 90 horsepower motors themselves. Now, I want to give you the truth about this, and I've seen videos on it before. The best one I've seen so far has been iRide 705 on his tuning from 60 horsepower to 90 horsepower. So, the real scoop about this is that these motors are the exact same. There's nothing different on them at all, except the ECU tuning, how fast these things will reach their maximum RPMs that they're set for on the motor itself. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on what I did. If anybody's watched my videos before, I purchased a 2016 Sea-Doo Spark ACE 60 horsepower, brand new from the dealer. And the reason why I did this is because of, number one, dealer incentives and the fact that they were actually, I think it was offering $300 off and like free life jacket and some other nonsense with it ready to go, registered, numbers put on the machine. So they gave me a deal on a 60 horsepower ski. So it was under $5,000 at the time. Now, Sea-Doo Sparks, if you scroll all the way up on the screen, you can see now they start at $53.99. Back in 2016, I believe they were $51.99. So with $300 off, or yeah, $300 off, it was under $5,000. Out the door, I think it was like $5,100. That's with no money down. So, anyways, back to it. I ended up picking it up because I learned from other various Green Hulk forums, YouTube videos, and whatnot, that you can actually tune the ski from 60 horsepower to 90 horsepower, or even better, tune the ski up to pretty much the moon. You can, the most popular tune at the time was a 110 horsepower tune done by people with the 90 and the 60 horsepower. So I thought to myself, do a little bit of research before you buy these skis and see which one you want, because after owning, I would say, 30, 35 different jet skis over the years, over the last 15 years. I would say realistically, the best thing I could have done is bought a new one because I kept blowing motors on 2-strokes and I get sick of them. So I also had 4-stroke supercharged. I had a GP 1800. Again, things were just unreliable, and I wanted something that I read was a little more reliable. The holes, I never had a worry in my life, being 150 pounds, that the skis were going to snap on me, the holes. So that didn't worry me. What worried me the most was the fact that you had water, especially seawater, going through the motors to cool them down. Also, you had 2-strokes or even 4-stroke motors who seemed kind of unreliable. Anyways, so back to this, and they're $20,000. So back to this video. The reason why I went with the 60 horsepower motor is because I had the ability to go up to 100, let's say 110 horsepower for a minuscule price. So I could have bought the 90, and I would have not left it at 90. I would have actually got the tune for it, spent the tuning software, the map tuner and everything, and it would have costed me a fortune. Fortunately, nowadays, 2018, 2016, this wasn't available. There's people all over the country willing to do tunes for pennies. Literally, I think the cheapest one I saw was $100 to do the tunes on these things. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the motor. So we have different types of engines. Rotax 900 ACE, Rotax 900 HO ACE. What does that actually mean? Well, that means they're both 900 cc's. So the motors are identical, right? The HO is the one contributing factor. Okay, let's go over to here. So this is off Rotax's website. This is the Rotax 900 AC Marine. Again, you're going to see the HO not said Marine in it, but it's the same motor. So take a look at the motor, and then take a look at what kind of specs you have here. So motor family, 4-stroke, of course, because they don't make the 2-strokes anymore for jet skis, I don't believe, just because of reliability issues. Also, number of cylinders, 3. Okay, same thing as the other one. We'll show you afterwards. Performance. So here comes into play what the difference is with these. So you see the 60 horsepower. You also see the RPMs 7,000, and you also see the torque 400. So keep those numbers in mind. The weight and the application, the advanced combustion efficiency. That's what the ACE stands for. Okay. So anyways, 60, 7,000, 4,000. Let's go over to here. 90, 8,000, 6,500. The only X factor on this is literally these three kind of blurbs beside the 90 HO and the 900 HO ACE, the 900 ACE HO. So you see the difference here. The weight, 56.6, 56.6. See kind of a pattern going on here? so they didn't do anything to this motor at all. The only thing they did was they just detuned it to make it 60 horsepower. And they want you to pay an extra, what is it, $1,500 to get the upgraded tune. So what you can do instead is send it off to somebody like this. This is just a Craigslist ad, for instance. They offer tunes for, I called them up, it's like $100. You can get this thing tuned up to 90 horsepower or 110 horsepower for $100. So again, this is just something locally, but you call them up, give them the tune, and all of a sudden you're at 110 horsepower, and you saved yourself $1,000 based off of what the horsepower, quote unquote, could be from the factory. The one disclaimer I have to give when you do this, if you buy a brand new Sea-Doo Spark, right, and you're paying minimum pricing, and you tune it up, and you end up blowing it up, you do violate the warranty by literally just tuning the thing back to, even if it's a 90 or a 60 and you tune it to 90, you violated warranties. Now there's ways around that, and I know the ways around that. I'm not going to go over them on YouTube, but keep that in mind that anything you do to the ski that reverts it from the stock form will violate warranties. And you got to check with your insurance agency too to make sure that you won't violate a warranty or violate their product or anything like that through insurance, because you can insure these things top to bottom if you want to. And that's what I did. I tuned mine, insured it, and I also saved the stock tune just in case. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Okay, anyways. So I'll talk more about what these jet skis are and kind of the reason why I bought them, as I've done probably 1,000 different times in my videos before. But I had a couple questions about, hey, I bought a 60, how can I make the thing faster? Or, hey, I bought a 60, what's the best upgrade for it? And in my previous video, I went over how the best thing to do to a stock Spark, if it's 90 horsepower, is the impeller. In this case, if you have a 60 horsepower, which I got a comment in my last video, please do yourself a favor. Upgrade the tune number 1 to 90 horsepower, so you get sport mode, or 110 horsepower, which you also get sport moded, which leads me to my next fact. If we go back to the motors, even though this one says 90 and this one says 60, what the difference is sport mode. So in touring mode on the HO, that's what you start out as when you first turn on the ski and you get going. Touring mode is actually only 60 horsepower up to a certain RPM. Touring mode will hit that 8,000 RPMs. Not on the water. It actually hit only 7 something. But touring mode on this one hits 7,000. Really, it's only 6 something on the water. But this goes about 40 miles an hour, and this goes about 50 miles an hour because the RPMs reach higher. But the rate in which they reach that position is the same, meaning you have a really slow throttle position or acceleration on the throttle when you utilize it. So if you pull the trigger, these will raise at the same rate in touring mode at the HO as the stock ACE will have. As soon as you tune that motor up, or that ACE ski, what's going to happen is you're going to retain that sport mode that the 90 has, and you'll reach whatever RPMs that you tune that to. Now, as you can see in my previous video, which I will link how you tune the Sea-Doo Spark, what happens is you can choose which RPMs or maximum RPMs these can reach. So the 90 stock is 8,000. The 110 stock is 8,350. The one I have, which I call the 112, is probably more closer to 120. But the one I have is 8,500. That's off of 91 octane or greater. And then you have E85, which is 8,900. Could you imagine the power that pumps out of there? There's also more aggressive tunes too. You can also do the turbocharged tunes if you're thinking about getting a turbocharger, or the full tune, the full intake tune. And there's more and more. There's countless amounts of these tunes available too. But as I was stating before, the real difference between these is just the ECU controlling it. The motors are identical. So if you guys have any questions for me, or if you need to know anything about how Sea-Doo kind of wanted to upsell their motors based on the exact same platform. Drop a comment in there. I'm happy to go over it with you. I love the fact that a lot of people called this out right away. And Sea-Doo, honestly, they don't care. They they want people to buy their skis. And from what I've talked to a couple companies regarding this too, they almost think that Sea-Doo wanted people to kind of uh, make this a hooligan ski and pump up the as much power as you can out of it. These motors, if I have to tell you anything, my green ski has almost 100 hours on it now, and people have hundreds of hours on it. They're the most reliable, dead to bolts reliable ski I've owned ever. So the one thing I didn't do to the green ski though was crack the hole yet, so it doesn't have any sort of water leaking into it. Whereas my tricks, after even 10 hours on the water, I spin it, drop it, blah blah blah, and there's water that gets into the hole, so that kind of sucks. But I think it's just the quality build, the people who assembled it. Anyways, so the real reason I wanted to make this video was just kind of go over what these are and what the engines differences are and what you can do to make the 60 into a 90 or even into a 110. Find somebody in your area who can tune it if you don't know what you're doing. Number one, if you do know what you're doing and you want to order your own Riva map tuner. I've worked with PWC Muscle in the past, and they've sent me one to rent, and I bought a couple tunes off of them, and that's another way to do it. If you're handy, and then what that does too is it gives you experience to do it in the future, or just simply pay somebody that'll put tunes on there. So yeah, I mean, realistically, if you need any help, let me know. I'm happy to go over it with you. If you need any, if you have any questions or comments you want to give on this video, uh, let me know. I'm here to help you guys, and look forward to hearing from you. Take it easy.